Hi, it's Anne-Marie from Charmed Life Therapy, back with another little chat about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And I have a new favourite attorney. I've not been now I'm on court listener. I'm about to probably become very familiar with all of the lawyers maybe, but I'm just going to play you this little audio recording I made of this letter from, well, email I guess, from Summer Benson to Blake Lively's team. I'll come back to you in a minute.
Matt, we have reviewed your latest correspondence. We reject your characterisation of our counter-proposals as unreasonably narrow and clearly designed to limit the production of relevant information. Your stated position overlooks our legitimate concerns of vagueness, overbreadth and proportionality. We are also troubled by your continued insistence that disputes should be resolved solely on your terms. Your effort to impose rigid deadlines and the threat of immediate court action if the wayfarer parties do not accede to your every demand, this approach is inconsistent with both the spirit and the letter of the rules requiring a meaningful meet and confer. Your reliance on Essex Insurance Co. versus Interstate Fire and Safety Equipment Co. 263 FRD 72 DCON 2009 is misplaced. The case discusses the inherent value of interrogatories. It does not sanction vague or overly broad requests untethered from the parties' claims and defences, nor does it extinguish the standards imposed by Rule 26b(1). Contrary to your suggestion, our counter-proposals are not intended to impede discovery, but to ensure that responses are appropriately focused, proportional, and capable of being answered fully and accurately. It is well documented in our prior communications that we have offered specific suggestions for revising your interrogatories to ensure they are unambiguous, relevant to a party's claim or defence, and proportional to the needs of the case as required by Rule 26b(1). We remain committed to a constructive dialogue and practical solutions, but cannot agree to overbroad demands imposed under artificial deadlines. To be clear, we are prepared to respond fully to properly tailored interrogatories. With that in mind, please see our further responses in blue below addressing each of the outstanding issues. Reserving all rights, Summer E. Benson Esquire, Liner, Friedman, Tattleman and Cooley, LLP.
So hopefully that tickled you a little bit. I believe that was somewhere around June 3rd. So there was an order out today. Judge Lyman has given Blake Lively till 5 o'clock, I'm guessing New York time, today to... She has a motion out, 295. This is the one where she's trying to compel Wayfarer to give like a vast amount of information, basically. It's all about the alleged untraceable smear campaign. So this is the one where they're trying to say whatever information you've got from influencers, everybody you've communicated with, and where Wayfarer has tried to say, look, this is overbroad. Because they're basically wanting everybody you've ever spoken to, and they're basically, I think they more or less agreed, like, on a start date on it, but they're wanting it right up to the present for the most part, because they claim the untraceable smear campaign is still ongoing to the present day. So it's the one where they were wanting all these kind of communications, and Wayfarer was saying, well, what are you meaning by an influencer? What is your scope of reference? And Wayfarer's side of things is that, well, shall we call it, say, everybody that's like got 10,000 subscribers or followers and is monetized? That seems like a reasonable thing to us to clarify it, because how the hell else can you kind of clarify it? If you, I mean, how do you describe what is an influencer? Is it set in stone? I guess that's what Wayfarer is saying. So it's that. And it's also this idea that obviously, because they are the ones having a smear campaign and they are the ones regularly dropping stories and in touch with the press right up to the present day Lively's party, they're the ones saying we want the details of everybody that you've given that sneaky access to. And they're defining the terms of the sneaky access, which makes you do, it does happen to make you think, well, is that the methods they are using? So it's this thing of, have you been, in order to get around, to make it untraceable, I guess. It's like, who have you been giving login details to? Who have you been screen sharing with? Who have you done that sneaky thing where you have conversations in the drafts folder but you never send them because you're actually just giving people login details. They log in, look at the drafts, and nothing ever gets sent then. So there's like no chain, except, you know, we're on Team Baldoni. I mean, I think we probably all think, well, that hasn't been happening. But are you doing that? Is that how you know about it? You and your CIA guys, is that how you know how these things work? So this is what, so there's been several comings and goings and toings and froings about agreeing what this information looks like. Because you imagine if it's everybody from a year ago now, so say June 2024 or whenever this thing was, you know, I think what they're saying is that Blake Lively felt there were rumblings of this smear campaign as far back as June 2024. That seems to be when she's invented it in her own mind. So they're basically wanting any kind of, anything that could be vaguely termed as media or anything. And it's like to do with anybody, to do with Blake, to do with Ryan, to do with all of the parties on that side. And that's Wayfarer's thing, is that's just ridiculous. And I love that letter from Summer Benson, because it's just like, are you nuts? You know, it's like your client, it's basically saying your client is a nutter who wants everything her own way and has no case. So she's wanting this broad scope of reference, because she has to create something from nothing. So we want you to give us basically everybody you've ever said hi or bye to, or, you know, it's like, you imagine trying to quantify that. So that's what Wayfarer, and I'm assuming they have been quite open-minded about it and helpful, but they've been providing them things. But on Lively's side, this is where their motion came from. They didn't think it was happening fast enough and it wasn't thorough enough. It wasn't everything they wanted. So it'd be interesting to see what happens today when Blake comes back, as to whether she is satisfied that Wayfarer have produced enough information about things like login details and draft email folders and what it is to be an influencer, and every influencer that Baldoni and his side have had dealings with or conversations with, and every journalist they've spoken to. I'm guessing whether it's to do with the film or not, whether to do with the behind the scenes stuff or not. It's like, so Wayfarer, I'm assuming, have provided now at this point what they think is relevant. Now it's up to Lively to say whether that's good enough for her. So it will be interesting to see what comes out of that. So that is my understanding of the thing that's come through today. But I just thought it might cheer you up if you're kind of still feeling a bit miserable about what's going on in this case. Just to have a little giggle at some of the communications that are being sent by Friedman's team. And yeah, I did like this Summer Benson. Oh yeah, I quite like her on my team. She could be one of my lawyers one day. Anyway, please do hit that like and subscribe and share, and let me know what you think. Do you think there is any chance at all that somehow Justin Baldoni has been the only person in the world that has managed to do an untraceable smear campaign against somebody? You would think by now, wouldn't you, with the resources available to Blake, that if it was at all possible to do an untraceable, invisible smear campaign, that they would have found out how one would do that by now. Is that all that they've come up with, giving somebody access to a drafts folder or maybe a Dropbox or something, or some secret undercover something or other? You know, is that the best that they can come up with, do you think? Because it's funny, isn't it, really? Wouldn't we have heard of an untraceable invisible smear campaign before such a thing existed? Anyway, let me know what you think. Please do hit that like, subscribe and share. And do remember that in my day job I am a rapid transformational therapy practitioner. So I don't tend to work with narcissists like Blake and Ryan, because narcissists don't tend to believe that there's anything wrong with them, so they don't tend to seek out help. But for everybody else who does have emotional blocks, success blocks, feels not good enough, feels like certain things are not available to them, if you suffer from fears and phobias, anxiety, low self-esteem, low self-worth, you might want to consider booking a free call with me, and all the descriptions and all the details are always in my box under the video. Alright, thank you for watching. See you later.